I'm Chief Cheryl Victorian. This is Waco PD on the beat. Whether it's crime or just getting to know the Waco Police Department, we're here to talk about things that matter most to you.
Hello, Waco, and welcome to our podcast, Waco PD on the Beat. I'm one of your hosts, AJ Smith, the Crime Stoppers Coordinator for McLennan County.
And I'm Sierra Shipley, the Public Information Officer for the Waco Police Department. And we're here to talk about everyone's favorite unit, the traffic unit. Yes. We've got Officer Garen Bynum here with us, who you probably have seen before. You're a familiar face at the department, I think.
A little bit. You've either seen me on the news or seen me because I've stopped you. So.
That's true. Yep, you were the interim PIO for a bit when Sergeant Swanton had retired, and now you are back on the traffic unit helping me, and I much appreciated always. So, well, let's get right into it. What started you here at Waco PD? What kind of began your law enforcement career?
Yeah, so I am originally not from Waco, but a very good friend of mine was in law enforcement down in the Houston area. I worked for Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. Just absolutely an incredible guy, and he basically talked me into trying it out. Check it out. I really think that that you're cut out for it. At the time, I was in a place in my life where I was really looking for a career and not just a job, and so he kind of directed me, towards law enforcement. My family does live in the area, and so I was in an effort to get back home, if you will, or to get back to close to family. We started looking around, and I looked at Waco, and lo and behold, I got hired. So here I am. And now it's a legit family business. I now have family that works in the police department. You guys have already met my wife, who was on the podcast before. She works at the police department. I also have a brother that works at the police department now. He came about a year after I did. And so now it's a family business.
I like it. So how many years has that been so far?
So March 26th will be 10 years for me.
Oh, my goodness.
It probably seems like
it's gone by so fast. It really has. And that's, you hear the guys that are at the end of their career, they'll tell you that, just that time just flies by, over a 30-year span. And but you don't really realize it until you're living it, So
10 years total in the department. When did you move into the traffic unit?
Yeah, so I started off, obviously everybody starts off on patrol from an officer standpoint. Well, I'll start off on patrol. And I worked the East Waco area on a midnight shift for 3 years. So after that 3 years, I actually tested for the PIO, the assistant PIO position. So that was 7 years ago. And was able to gain that spot. And then just a month after that, I tested for the traffic unit. So right after a 3-year mark, I tested for traffic unit and moved over in, I want to say it was November of 2014, I think is when it was. So I've been on traffic for that long.
Well, it's that time of year again, and it's the time where we search for new recruits to join our police department team. The Waco Police Department's civil service test is scheduled for March 19th. This is a day where a written and physical test is complete that you have to pass to start the process in becoming a Waco police officer. Before the civil service test is taken, you must complete an online application that you can find on our website, wacopolice.com. The deadline to complete that application is March 1st. And for any questions, you can call our personnel unit at 254-750-7510.
Nice.
Very good.
So kind of walk us through your career, because I know that you've had a little bit of everything within the department. I always see you helping. You were in almost every one of our academy classes. So
yeah, so yes, I'm on the traffic unit. Yes, I've been a part of the PIO world. As far as the inner workings of the department and everything I've kind of dabbled in or had my hand in, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but a master of none, I guess you could say. I teach a lot, which is where most people see me. I probably spend about 3 months out of the year teaching either at the academy or teaching some type of class with MCC, law enforcement continued education classes out at MCC, but also to teach a lot in the department. So in just a variety of different topics. Most of them are some type of use of force relation or driving related, which is where most people see me at the academy, is teaching our emergency vehicle operations. And to be honest with you, that's really where my passion is. That's actually what I went to school for, was teaching, and I never used it. So went to college, and then went into the work field and never used it. It wasn't until I actually became a police officer that I started teaching that, and it kind of reignited the passion that I have for that. So that's kind of really, that's why I do it so much, because I do like being able to lead, especially the newer officers. I really do like being able to lead those new officers and kind of guide them through their beginning parts and some of the most important stages of their career. I don't know. I just have a passion for it. So.
Yeah, well, you called yourself a master of none. I think you're a pretty good master at a lot of things. You know, come on.
Pretty decent carpenter.
He is.
I can build you a
Random
table.
fact.
Well, now, we said you were the PIO for a few years, and you did try out for the assistant PIO position as well. And I'm very curious as to why you as an officer would want to be a PIO, because a lot of our officers don't like being in front of the camera.
Yeah, so that it's a personality thing, if you will. Kind of the way that I grew up. I've been around a lot of higher profile type people. My stepfather is in city management, and he has always just kind of, I don't want to say like pushed me forward, but kind of put me there and made sure that we were always very personable with people, that we look them in the eye, that we shake their hands, and that we don't shy away from those type people, those higher profile type people. So I was raised like that my entire life. And because of that, I really think that it just kind of gave me a level of confidence as far as like doing public speaking and things like that people don't normally have. So it's just something that I kind of, started doing and enjoy doing. And in fact, I mean, on the internal side of the police department, I've done a lot of I kind of MC a lot of our events that we end up having. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I've done it so much. I have experience at it. Number two, nobody else wants to do it. So, award ceremonies for officers when they receive meritorious, awards and that type of thing. So, I don't know.
You just like the attention, don't lie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's what got you into being the PIO and wanting to do that, being in the spotlight, not being afraid of it. What got you into the traffic unit?
Right. So
Like
traffic
writing
unit, when I was on midnight shift, the part of town that I worked, when you're on patrol, you work a specific beat, right? Specific area. My specific beat is not very call driven, or was not very call driven on the midnight shift, right? And so in order to keep my activity levels up, while I was working, you had to go out and find work. You had to go out and make traffic stops. You had to have, a good drive for self-initiated activity. And, after doing that for 3 years, I kind of found a niche, something that I really enjoyed doing, and doing traffic enforcement. It's actually specifically DWI enforcement was really what I thoroughly enjoyed doing. A lot of officers don't like doing DWI investigations. They are heavily fought in court. They do have a lot of paperwork that are associated with it, but it was just the challenge that I thoroughly enjoyed. And so that kind of drove me towards the traffic unit. And when an opening came up, on the traffic unit, I immediately put in. So,
Can you explain a little bit of a difference between the traffic unit and patrol?
Right. So traffic unit here in the city of Waco is 100% self-initiated and complaint-driven. So patrol, when you work patrol, you get dispatched calls. Now, patrol officers also, as long as time is available, they do make traffic stops, and they do traffic enforcement and things of that nature. But for those of us that are specifically on the traffic unit, that's what our focus is these complaint areas around town where everybody knows, and everybody in town can point out, everybody speeds on Lakeshore Drive. We know that. Everybody speeds on LaSalle Avenue.
What?
We
What are
know
you talking
that.
about?
So, that's what the traffic unit focuses on, is those type areas where we get a lot of complaints. But we also focus on the areas that we get a lot of crashes at. So there are certain hotspot areas around town that do have more crash data, if you will, than other places. So we do try to focus on those specific areas also. And what's interesting about that is usually those hotspot areas that we have for crashes actually directly correlate with high crime areas as well. So we're kind of killing two birds with one stone there. We can be out, be visible, do traffic enforcement to promote, driving safety, but also, deter criminal activity in those areas.
Right, exactly. I went out with you one time for school zones.
Yes.
That was interesting.
That's
That
kind
was
of my
crazy.
niche. That's something I've really enjoyed doing in school zones.
Well, and now I don't speed in a school zone, but
Right.
now as I drive through them, I notice everyone else that is speeding around me, and I'm always like,
Yeah, and
I was like,
you can see it.
I can't pull you over.
You'll see people speeding. You'll see people on their cell phones, which is very illegal in a school zone. You see all that kind of stuff. Once you learn what to look for, people do some amazing things in a school zone.
So how big is the traffic unit? How many of you are there?
Not enough, but there are we have 5 officers and a sergeant. So we would love to have maybe 12 officers and 2 sergeants or
right.
so, but and that's what makes it difficult for us is because there's only 5 and a sergeant, we can't be everywhere, and we can't work 24 hours around the clock. So we try to work the times that we have that we've kind of identified as the busiest times throughout town, and we do adjust our schedules during certain holidays and things like that so that we can be present during those holidays and do some DWI enforcement, like our heavy drinking holidays, that type of thing. But that's where we're at, to be honest with you.
So, DWI enforcement, you talked about liking that on patrol. What is your go-to traffic stop? Like, if you saw this one thing, you seek it out just to make contact.
So the vast majority of the complaints that we get are speed related, and so that is probably the main thing that all of us look for is speed. Speeding enforcement or speed enforcement. At least I am also kind of a stickler on seat belts, but specifically child safety seat related. So I just in the world that we're in today, I feel like we need to do everything that we can do to protect our kids, and there are options out there for free child safety
Come see
seats.
me.
And
Call my office.
I mean, there's too many options out there, in my opinion, to not have a child safety seat, and so
Absolutely.
that's a big focus of mine specifically. Something that we're gonna start working on this year is enforcing people that run red lights or try to squeeze their way into the end of the line.
Many of those here in Waco.
Lake Erie and Waco Drive is probably our worst.
Oh my gosh! At
And
least
we're aware of it. It's just going to be a matter of figuring out how to best work that intersection as a unit. And so that's
a hard
something.
intersection to
It is.
sit on in any capacity.
Right. And so that, some of those type places we're going to start putting a little more focus on this year as well, just kind of upcoming projects. But to fully answer that, speed is probably our number one stop.
Okay.
So if you ask the people out on Ritchie Road, our community members out there, last week we spent the entire week on Ritchie Road and probably made, anywhere from 250 to 300 stops.
Oh my goodness.
All speed related on
Wow.
Ritchie Road. So
That's a lot.
it's a lot.
Stop speeding.
Yeah.
Your lead foot. Come on.
It happens.
So, since you said 200 to 300 stops, that doesn't necessarily mean tickets, right?
It doesn't necessarily mean tickets.
So you guys have some compassion. Because before I was a police officer, when I heard traffic unit or motors or something of that nature, I was like, this guy's writing me 30 tickets.
Right,
And
yeah.
They're all going to be for a different verbiage of speeding.
Yeah, you can, we have that reputation, but we don't all write tickets all day for everything. Not saying that some people don't need or deserve the citation that they receive, but no, we do issue warnings, and every stop in that nature is a case by case basis. So There's really no such thing as a generic traffic stop.
Do you want to help solve crime in your neighborhood? Well, the Neighborhood Camera Initiative is something you might want to sign up for.
Ring doorbells, Nest cameras, and all the other camera security systems installed on homes and businesses that are facing public areas are tools that could help our officers solve very important crimes.
By signing up your camera or cameras in the Neighborhood Camera Initiative, it allows our officers knowledge to where these cameras are, and if a crime had happened, it could have possibly saw the incident in question.
You can sign up your camera on the City of Waco website at wacopolice.com.
Unfortunately, so.
For sure.
Right, and you guys aren't. You're not stopping just to stop people either.
No. I'm glad you said that. Our number one goal of a traffic stop is to promote traffic safety. Outside of that, there are obviously other things that can happen and that can develop, but especially us as a traffic unit, that's what we want to do is promote traffic safety in and around our city, and that's as many cars and as many community members as we have here in not only the city of Waco but in McLennan County. Traffic safety is a big deal. We have a ton of crashes here, and we do everything that we can to try to keep those numbers to a minimum, but obviously they still happen. So
Right. I know. Gosh, I wish I remembered the numbers, but our population grows in size tremendously just during the day, every day, because
during
of
the business day,
people coming into work, or even just I-35 and
Right.
people driving to Dallas or Austin. I mean, we are just a big corridor for traffic.
Absolutely
everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a big job for you
and
guys.
it adds whenever Baylor's in town. When all the students are here and in class, that adds to that as well. So, and that happens all day. I mean, they're going to and from their houses to class, and so LaSalle Avenue around 3rd and LaSalle is probably one of the busiest intersections as far as not only traffic stops but also crashes because just the cross traffic that happens there. So.
Right. Is there anything you want to, remind people? I know it probably seems silly. We know the answer you're going to give, but anything you want to remind people while they are driving on the road?
Put your cell phones down. So that's something that I think people have gotten too much into the habit of, is picking up their cell phone and flipping through Facebook while they're driving, or everybody thinks
You're
that.
laughing like you do that, AJ.
No, I'm laughing because I
calling you
know
out here.
it's true.
No, yeah,
Okay,
I don't do
okay.
Facebook.
All right, I had to make sure.
It is a lot bigger problem than I think people realize it is, and that really boils down to distracted driving, which is honestly probably the biggest cause of the vast majority of our crashes, at least here in Waco. The cause of a crash may not directly go down as distracted driving, but that's what it is. There's just too many things going on inside of our vehicles now. So between the touchscreen stereos and the phones.
Gosh, the iPads on your dash, I can't even.
Yeah, they're massive now.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
nowadays you've got your phone vibrates, your watch goes off, and then your car sends a notification here. And my truck used to do it on the radio and the instrument cluster, and I'm just
Right.
I guess I should look at the road, but there's 14 notifications going on.
Yeah, all this kind of different
Right.
stuff going on. Plus, you have to watch your mirrors. Plus, you have to have music on. You can't drive without music. Who does that?
Who
right?
drives
So,
quietly?
The car
so there's
doesn't
just
drive if it doesn't have something.
so many distractions that go on. So distracted driving is probably one of our biggest things. Obviously, speed is a big thing. Cars are safer now, and they are able to stop quicker, but that doesn't change the fact that we still need to keep safe distances and not drive above the speed limit. So speed limits are set for a specific reason. They're set after traffic surveys are done, and they do those surveys, and they figure out how many people travel through the area, and depending on what type of area it is, neighborhoods, all of that kind of stuff. All that consideration goes into a speed limit once a speed zone is set. So, sometimes people think, 30 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour on Lakeshore is way too slow. Why? Everybody goes 50 and above. They do, but we also have a lot of crashes where people were going too fast on Lakeshore Drive. That would not have happened if they would have gone 40 miles an hour, which is what the speed limit is. So there's also a lot of residential areas on places like Lakeshore and LaSalle. So,
Yeah.
And those type of things, like I said, go into consideration there.
Random question. Do you know how a speed limit is determined?
Well, like that. I mean, it depends on what road that they're on who does those type of traffic surveys. But the city, if it's a city street, the city will do traffic surveys, and they'll figure out. And like I said, just a second ago, if it's a residential area, then obviously they'll have certain limitations there. If it's a larger road, they'll have limitations there. Also, if there is some type of barrier in between, let's say you have a 4-lane road with a median. If is the median protected, is the median not protected? Right. All of that goes into consideration. So it's all up to the people that make the big bucks on that one.
Oh, very good, very good. All right, big bucks, slow us down.
That's it.
So what would you, is there anything that you want to, break a stereotype or misconception, maybe within the department, the traffic unit, anything at all?
Yeah, we stop people obviously every day, right? The traffic unit does. And one of the biggest things that I notice when I stop people, especially people that haven't been pulled over in a long time, is people think that, this is going to just destroy the day, right? What I want people to know and understand that I'm stopping you. Yes, I'm stopping you for a violation, right? Which is what it is. But what I want you to know is the reason why I'm stopping you is just to make sure that you know and understand what the law is so that you can drive safe. It's not the end of the day. It's not. And I tell people this all the time whenever people get upset, for being pulled over or for receiving a citation. Don't let this stop beat you. Don't let this be the thing that just kills your day. And so I want people to know and understand that it's just a traffic stop. Right. It's not the end of the world here. And I know that times are hard, and I know that that not everybody has the financial ability at times to pay a $250 speeding citation. There are payment options that the court has if you are to receive that citation. But the main message I would say right now is that don't let that traffic stop determine how the rest of your day goes. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, because I'm sure the people that are stopped, some of them really don't know that maybe the speed limit or the speed they were going or the law in general. So, I know a lot of people that you probably stop are like, oh, I didn't know I was doing that. But I'm sure a handful of those people really did not know.
Yeah, no, and that is a legitimate thing. People just flat out didn't see the sign. And a lot of times that comes back to the distracted driving. They were, oh, my wife texted me, and I was trying to read the text, and they passed right by the speed limit sign and had no idea what the speed limit was. Interesting thing about that is they drive that road every day.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Somebody new to town, somebody that is, that is working, that's never been on that street before, that does happen, where they just have no idea what the speed limit was. They legitimately didn't see it, for whatever reason. No, it happens all the time. So those are the moments that we can take to educate people on, what the speed limit is, or what the law, says about cell phone usage, or what the law says about stopping at a designated stopping point. There was a rumor for a long time that specific offense was just gave us a reason to stop people. No, that the reason why stopping at a designated stopping point is important, because if you pull too far forward at an intersection, then you can get your front end hit. By people.
Oh gosh, that makes me so mad when people come as a stoplight and then, and
they're too.
I don't want to call him out, but my fiance does it all the time. No, but he'll get so close to them. Like, you don't have to be so close. Like, just back up just a little bit.
The department is currently looking for those to join our dispatch team as 911 call takers. Being a dispatch operator means being the first to answer the call for help.
As a dispatcher, your job is to answer emergency and non-emergency calls for police, fire, and emergency medical assistance. When you work as a dispatcher for Waco PD, you're helping not only your Waco community, but the entire county.
To apply, you can visit the City of Waco website. We can't wait for you to be a part of the Waco PD team.
Well,
Gives
the other
me
day
anxiety.
we were driving home, and this guy, I saw him coming. I was like, "Hey, Sarah, I don't think that guy's gonna stop." And as we were going through the intersection on a very green light, like it had been green for a couple minutes,
Trying to beat the red light.
he wasn't even trying to beat the red light.
Oh, no,
He's
he
like a quarter of a mile down, and I'm like, he's going really fast, and that's a red light for him because we've had a green light for about 30 seconds now. And he just right in front of us, and he stops right in front of us. I'm like, you might as well go, bud, because like we
You're
can't.
already in the middle. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, have you ever been pulled over before?
Absolutely.
Do you want to say why?
Mainly for
story?
speed when I was younger.
Okay.
This is like last year.
No, funny note. I did probably the last time I was pulled over was on Highway 84 by Woodway PD. For those of our community members that live in that area, I've never met anybody that hasn't been pulled over on Highway 84 by Woodway. But it was more of a kind of a joke. The officer was somebody that I actually trained in the academy. So he got up to my driver's side window. He laughed and I laughed, and we went on with our day. So yeah, I mean, it definitely happens to us. You know, I'm not above the law by any means either. But no, I have been pulled over many a times. Like I said, mainly when I was younger.
Right.
I did have somewhat of a lead foot in high school, which most high school boys do.
So the first time that you were pulled over was probably for speed?
It was for speed
was
by a
for
state
speed.
trooper. Yeah,
Oof.
sure was.
Oof.
Yeah.
Those state troopers, they're harsh sometimes.
Yeah,
They can be hard.
I at least had my learner's permit. My dad was with me, but yeah, I got a ticket.
Oh, man. AJ, first time you've been pulled over?
So it was definitely speed.
I'm not surprised.
I think we've talked about it on here before, but I had a little bit of a lead foot, and I would say all of my
Still does.
all of my interactions with the police prior to becoming a cop were for speed, except for one, and actually two. One was because my headlights were not the right shade of white, so I got pulled over just
interesting.
north of Fort Worth, and
More
then
of a soft white, maybe?
yeah, because I had those lights because that was all I could find. Because the day before I got pulled over for having a headlight out, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna have a headlight out, I'll run to AutoZone, I'll put these lights in, and the next night I got pulled over again for the same thing. But yeah, I had a lead foot for sure.
Yeah. First time I was pulled over was leaving a high school band concert, and it was the first time driving by myself. The very first,
I have to ask you, were you the one that was like super scared because you got pulled over, like shaking and crying?
I did not cry. I
Good for
didn't. I
you.
did not cry. I was a little. I was.
Then I
I
can
was
say.
wondering because I had pulled out like I immediately got pulled over the second I pulled out onto the main road, and I was like, did I forget my blinker? What did I do? I was turning right and like immediately got pulled over, and so I come over, and he comes to my car. He goes, he shines his flashlight onto the what would be the could be the blinker, could be the lights, one of the two. He goes, you know what that is? And I said, my blinker. And he looks at me for a second. I go, oh, my lights. High school band concert was
You didn't
probably
have your
about 8
lights on.
p.m. It was dark, no lights on.
Nice.
And I got home, and I was, thankfully did not get a ticket. He showed me how to turn my lights on. And I went about my day, went back home, and I got home and was like, Mom, Dad, I got pulled over. Like, it was like this great initiation.
This glorious thing.
And then I got the keys taken away for a week.
Oh
So, yeah.
man,
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a hard not life.
I guess that's why my sister never told our parents. I was always like, well, I got another ticket today,
I
Dad.
know, I was so honest. and they
Andrew
were
Jonathan Smith, what are you doing?
I was so honest, and they were like, you're not ready.
Yeah.
It's like,
No.
darn it.
When I got pulled over, like I said, I was only 15. I had my learner's permit. My dad was with me in the passenger seat. He very well knew what the speed limit was. He knew exactly how fast I was going.
He let you
Yeah,
make
he
a
let
mistake.
it happen. He wanted me to learn the hard way because at 15 and at that point in my life, that was the only way I was learning anything was the hard way. So yeah, he let me learn.
Oh, man. Man, oh, man.
What made it worse is I didn't have my my wallet on my person. It was in a bag in the back of my truck.
So you got to
So I had to get out,
Yep.
of the truck. It was a state trooper, so that just is a added, heightened awareness there. So I had to get out and dig through this bag in the back of my truck, and of course that that heightens the officers, the troopers' awareness as well. It was just, I was
Your dad's
I
just
was
laughing
scared.
there in
Oh,
the passenger
100%. Yeah, 100% laughing on the inside.
Oh my goodness. Well, before we close this out, anything else you want to say, touch on, talk about?
No, I think we covered all the bases.
Good. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Waco PD on the Beat. Thank you so much, Officer Bynum, for coming on this episode. Don't speed. I think that's what we're going to take away from this podcast.
Distracted driving, too.
Yeah, distracted
Don't
driving.
do that.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Focus on one thing very
Yep.
well.
There you go.
Well, thank you guys so much. I'm Sierra Shipley, the Public Information Officer.
And I'm Officer AJ Smith, the Crime Stoppers Coordinator for McLennan County.
Have a good one, Waco.
Till next time.
Waco PD on the Beat. The heartbeat serving